Well, it's the end of yet another week, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take, Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions to discuss them in a video. This week, we saw almost every first round matchup close out, and the second round is underway for a few teams as well, so of course there's plenty for us to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out about 62% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing comes to us from Colin, and he says that this year is the best chance Chris Paul has ever had at winning a championship ring. So Chris Paul has had a long, illustrious career in the NBA and has established himself as one of the greatest players to ever play the point guard position. However, the one thing he's failed to achieve in this great career is winning a championship. He's been on some very good teams in his Hornets, Clippers, and Rockets playing days, but none of them were ever able to get over the hump and win with him in command. Sure, on a few occasions he himself failed to play at the level needed to win, and some of the series he lost in those seasons were because of that, but there have also been so many instances of just poorly timed injuries, unfortunate performances by teammates, and just bad luck as well. This Suns team has been overachieving from the get-go, and they have played better than literally anybody could have anticipated they would play before the season started. But is it the best chance he's ever had at a championship? Honestly, it very well may be. The West right now is as wide open as it's ever been, with this being the first year since 2010 that neither LeBron James or Steph Curry will be playing in the finals, and after Paul's Suns were the ones who eliminated LeBron and the Lakers, they're definitely clicking at the right time. The only other year I think Paul truly had a chance to go all the way was in 2018 with the Rockets, but after going up 3-2 in their series against the Warriors that year, Paul suffered one of the most unfortunately timed injuries of all time, and they couldn't finish the series out without him. The Suns are as good as anybody in the West right now, so they definitely have a great chance, barring Paul's health. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from SYYE, and he says that the Lakers would have beaten the Suns had they traded for Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline after reports said that the two teams were discussing a trade deal. After the Suns pulled off a big win over the defending champion in the Lakers, it leaves a lot looking back on the year the Lakers had, thinking about all of the mistakes made along the way to get to this point. Many of the moves the team made in the offseason and even throughout the season seem head-scratching in hindsight, and of course hindsight is always 20/20 once we already know the results. What makes this particular move, or should I say lack of a move, for Lowry so notable though, is that several reports came out after the fact saying that the deciding factor in the Lakers not moving forward with the trade was the fact that they refused to include Talon Horton-Tucker in the trade deal. Now, THT has definitely been a nice find for the team as a promising young guy who could one day develop into a reliable scoring contributor, but in no world should he have been where the Lakers drew the line. LeBron James only has so many years left in his career, and his ability to contend should always be priority number one, so prioritizing a young player who, by the way, didn't even play in 2 of the games in the first round this year over an established champion and top-tier point guard like Lowry is definitely baffling now. I do believe Lowry would have helped a ton in the playoffs this year, and he would have taken a big load off of LeBron's shoulders in the creation department and overall with his playmaking. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Percy, and he says that LeBron would have been better off in the long run had the Lakers not even traded for Anthony Davis at all. Okay, so the last take we discussed was certainly one where we looked back at the regrets of the Lakers, leading to them getting eliminated in the first round for the first time in LeBron James' career. However, this take is certainly a reach and take things way too far. The Lakers literally won the championship last season, and that does not happen without trading for Anthony Davis. Winning a championship is so incredibly difficult in the NBA, and for the top contenders, it's the only thing on their minds. So being able to win one justifies any move made leading up to that point. It doesn't matter if Anthony Davis couldn't stay healthy for this year's playoff run nearly as much, because last year he played phenomenally and helped bring the Larry O'Brien trophy back to Los Angeles. In fact, I'm still not even convinced that the Lakers would have been better off in the long run without making the deal either, because even with Davis's health issues, he still makes the team better than the combination of Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram would have. Plus, youth rarely ever wins in the playoffs, and you don't play the long-term game when LeBron James is on your team. You can say whatever you want about the bubble last year and about how the Lakers won their title in those unusual circumstances and whatever else. However, at the end of the day, they still got championship rings, and they wouldn't have those without trading for Anthony Davis. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Nicole, and she says that this is Giannis Antetokounmpo's best chance at a ring so far in his career. Giannis's emergence to becoming one of the best players in the entire league has come with a lot of lofty expectations, and to this point, he hasn't quite been able to meet those expectations in the playoffs. He's had the 1 seed in each of the last 2 years, failing to make the finals in either of those seasons, and this year, he may be the 3 seed, but many would argue that this current Bucks team is the strongest and most playoff ready that Giannis has had around him yet. However, despite that being the case, I don't think this season is a better chance for him to win it all than last year was, which goes against the take we're discussing. Last season in the bubble was a perfect opportunity for the Bucks to win it all, because without fans in the stadium, there would have been less pressure, and like we saw with many other guys in the bubble, he should have been able to take his game to another level. Last season, the East was completely wide open, without any truly dominant teams besides the Bucks, and it was evidenced by the 5 seed Heat getting hot and winning the East last year, but the fact that the Bucks got swept by them is still a huge missed opportunity that will haunt them for a while. This year, the Brooklyn Nets are completely loaded with talent and are easily better than any team in the East was last season, and the Bucks are already down 1-0 in their series with the Nets at the moment. They can still win this series, but I don't think there's any question that the road to a title is much more difficult this year than it should have been last year. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.